Take me back to like becoming. You said you were a gamer, and but you're also a bit sporty. I was quite similar, actually. I think we would have been. I was not really so much of a gamer, but I was a real comic book nerd. But I was obsessed with football and trying to play AFL and all that kind of stuff. Yep. So I know where you're talking about. I know the meeting point there.
Yeah.
So, but obviously, we all played video games. How come you ended up playing professional video games?
It was a lot of it was I fell into it by accident, like most people do. Because I had that competitive nature. Mm-hmm. Like in regards to cricket, I used to play every recess and lunch every day, and then I'd bowl down my driveway at night time, wanting to be a great player. Uh-huh. But with video games as well, I started playing first-person shooters, so namely a game called Battlefield 2 for a while. I started off as most people do as a 15, 14-year-old. You're pretty terrible. You pick a sniper class, you sit on a roof, and, you just kind of fluff around a little bit. Mm-hmm. But then I started thinking, when I started becoming a bit better, I started thinking, well, how can I test my skills against someone else? How can I show that I'm the best Battlefield 2 player, I'm the better sniper, I'm better at this certain map or this class or whatever than someone else? So there was a thing in-game where you could set a clan tag, which is basically, that's an early esports organization. People would just play under the same tag together. Mm-hmm. They might play in some casual comps, and I didn't know what that meant. And I used to go in the same server every night, which was always on the same map and the same style of game because that was my favorite. Mm-hmm. And there was a guy there that used to go there most nights as well that had a clan tag on. And I just asked him, I was like, A, how are you so good? B, what does a clan tag mean? Mm-hmm. And C, what does your clan tag mean? Mm-hmm. So then we started talking and then started going from there, and he educated me on the competitive scene.
Gotcha. All right. So how old are you, Chris?
I'm 28.
28. Yeah, I'm only 33. I'm just trying to think, because when I was coming up, this competitive gaming wasn't really a thing.
Correct.
I was of the firstly like Super Mario and so forth and Alex the Kid into like Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter and maybe Doom and so forth was around that time. And then I guess I must have just missed the wave of real competitive, more so than just sitting in your lounge room playing against your best mate.
Yeah.
So when did that all actually hit the scene? The actual online competitive nature.
You could say it's in two different bits, right? So there was like an esports scene that was starting to become a thing before the global financial crisis, for example. Yep. So thinking back to like, I can't remember exactly what the year was, but it might have been like 05 or 03. There's Quake, which is developed by id Software. John Carmack, the CEO, was a massive Ferrari fan, and he loved to chuck turbos on Ferraris, which is the massive thing apparently you just don't do with those cars.
Okay.
But he ran a global tournament, and the first place prize was his twin turbo Ferrari that he gave away to someone. He gave that to the guy that won. And the guy couldn't afford the insurance, couldn't afford to register it. So he went to an ATM, this is the story, got out a bunch of money, gave it to him and said, here you go. Really? And he also couldn't afford to ship it home to himself either. Right. So there was that, and even thinking about the Championship Gaming Series in 07-08, that was a studio-like environment. It was televised. There was a salaried team from Australia called Sydney Underground, a team from London, Chicago.
And this was in-house? They flew in for the tournament, or was it all online?
Yeah, so it was all in-house. It was in the US.
Gotcha.
There was reportedly some commentators making $1 million salary to play. It was live audience, flames coming up, pay TV, all that kind of stuff.
Really?
But that fell down partly due to lavish overspending and also partly due to the GFC.
Yeah,
it kind of seemed to kick everything down. But, I mean, it's been going along a while in the underground sense, but you could say almost like, as far as the mainstream world is concerned, 2019 is probably the first year of esports that it's existed on a global scale, where you've got people that are actually earning some serious money, and not just the people who are the 0.01%, but maybe the 1%, which is very similar to sport, right? Everybody likes to make the comparison between esports and traditional sports, and likes to make the comparison of earnings. But if you're a VFL player, you're not earning good money, and you're most likely working at the same time as well.
For sure you are.
The same way that if you're an esports player, if you're not in the top 8 teams in the world for a certain game, you're probably not earning much money either.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's interesting. I remember maybe it is 2019, because I think it was probably this year that I heard the first conversation on, I would say it would have been another podcast. I think I know which podcast it was, but talking about the fact that now we're at the period where it used to be, your mum would say, hey, go outside or go kick the football, or, your parents would be very pushing you into trying to do well at sport and so on and so forth. Yeah. Whereas now, you might be an extremely elite esports player, and your parents might be like, all right, cool, well, go to your room and fucking get on that video game. It might be something that people are actually pushing their kids into because they're talented at it.
Yeah.
Is that probably, you think that's kind of just been a recent thing the last couple of years where it's been a realistic life plan.
Yeah, and even for me, like a lot of my business is conducted on LinkedIn.
Yep.
And I've got inbounds from mothers and fathers now saying, hey, I think my kid might have some serious skill and he really wants to take Fortnite seriously.
LinkedIn. I thought it would have been TikTok.
Not quite.
Business. That's funny.
And then it's, for them, it's about how can I support my child to become a better player? And, for me, it's similar answers to like what you were saying. My mum always used to yell at me to get off the computer, tell me I could never get a job in the industry. And now I've been working in the industry for, like 8+ years or something like that.
Exactly.
Yeah, showed you. With a small stint in social work, which is her profession. So she won for a little bit.
Yeah.
And then I came back. But yeah, it's exactly about that. It's about like identifying the youngsters as they're coming up.